Imagine waking to a kitchen where the coffee pot sits cold, missing the one who always brewed it first. Losing a spouse turns your world upside down, leaving you with a quiet that aches and decisions you never planned to face alone. If your spouse dies first, these are the 6 most important things every senior must do to survive. Not just to get by, but to find strength again. Here at Life Wisdom, we're committed to guiding elderly hearts through life's toughest chapters with practical, heartfelt steps. These aren't quick fixes. They're anchors to steady you through the storm. Stay with us until the end, because the final step is one most overlooked, yet it could light the way for your next years. We'd love to hear where you're watching from, maybe a cozy porch in Florida or a snowy cabin in Minnesota. Share in the comments, and let's begin this journey together. Picture an empty porch swing, swaying alone where you both used to talk at dusk. When your spouse passes, that quiet settles heavy, like a stone in your chest, urging you to fill the hours with tasks, sorting old letters, answering endless calls, or tidying rooms that don't need it. It's tempting to stay busy to dodge the ache, but the first step isn't about doing anything at all. It's about letting yourself feel. Grief isn't a puzzle to solve or a race to finish. It's a guest you invite to sit with you, a testament to the love that shaped your days. Holding back those emotions might seem strong, but it builds a wall inside, trapping sorrow that can turn into exhaustion, bitterness, or even deeper loneliness down the road. Letting yourself feel doesn't mean falling apart or losing control. It's giving your heart permission to mourn without shame, without a schedule, and without judgment from yourself or others. There's no manual for this, no perfect way to grieve. Some mornings you might wake up and smile, remembering a joke they told over breakfast. Other nights, you might sit alone, longing for the sound of their footsteps down the hall. Both are part of the same journey, and neither makes you weak. Denying those moments, though, can weigh you down more than you realize. Unspoken grief doesn't fade. It waits, sometimes showing up as sleepless nights or a body that feels heavier than it should. Take Ellen, a 72-year-old from Georgia, who learned this truth after her husband passed. For weeks she kept moving, cleaning out closets, organizing shelves, telling neighbors she was holding up just fine. She thought staying busy would keep the pain at bay, but it only grew louder in the quiet moments. One evening, she found his old fishing hat, its brim worn smooth from years at the lake. She held it, tracing the stitches, and for the first time, she let herself cry. Not just a few tears, but a deep, honest release. It wasn't that the hurt vanished, but something softened inside her. She started talking about him, sharing small memories with her daughter, like how he'd hum off-key while casting his line. That act of feeling didn't erase her sorrow, but it gave it space to breathe, making the days a little less heavy. You don't need to know how to grieve to start. There's no wrong way to do this. Maybe you sit with a photo and whisper their name, letting the tears come if they want. Maybe you write a letter you'll never send, pouring out the things you didn't get to say. Or maybe you just pause, holding a memory close, the way they stirred their coffee or laughed on a rainy day. These moments aren't about fixing anything, they're about honesty. They let you acknowledge the love that's still yours, even in their absence. If guilt creeps in, telling you to be strong or move on, remind yourself that strength isn't silence. It's not pretending you're okay for others' sake or hiding tears to seem brave. True strength is facing the truth of your loss, letting it wash over you like a wave, knowing it won't drown you. Friends might not know what to say, and family might worry if you cry too long. But this is your heart's work, not theirs. There's no clock ticking, no deadline for when the ache should fade. Some days will feel lighter, others heavier, and that's okay. Trying to rush past grief can lead to carrying it in ways you don't expect, maybe as anger that surprises you or a tiredness that won't lift. By feeling now, you're not giving in. You're giving yourself a foundation to heal, one honest moment at a time. Start small if it feels too big. Pick up something of theirs, a scarf, a book, a worn-out wallet, and let it remind you of them. Say what comes to mind, even if it's just, "I miss you." Or share a story with someone close, like how they loved Sunday pancakes or argued over the thermostat. These acts weave your love into the present, keeping it alive without locking you in pain. This step is the root of everything else. Without it, the tasks ahead, connecting, organizing, caring for yourself, can feel hollow, like checking boxes instead of living. By honoring your emotions first, you're not just surviving, you're building a path to carry their memory with grace. Feeling isn't the end of your story, it's the beginning of finding strength, opening the door to reach out and let others in. What happens when the casseroles stop coming and the house grows too still? After losing a spouse, those first days are often filled with calls, cards, and visits, people checking in, offering warmth. But as weeks pass, the doorbell quiets, the phone slows, and a different kind of silence creeps in, one that feels heavier than grief alone. That's why the second step is to connect, reaching out to others before loneliness can settle deep in your bones. This isn't about erasing the sorrow of your loss or pretending everything's fine. It's about reminding yourself you're still part of the world, still seen, still valued, even when the person who knew you best is gone. Loneliness doesn't just tug at your heart. It can pull at your health in ways you might not notice right away. For seniors, staying isolated too long can cloud your thoughts, steal your sleep, or even raise your blood pressure, making it harder to face the days ahead. Connecting with others isn't a cure for missing your spouse, but it's a lifeline, a way to share the weight so it doesn't crush you. It's not about grand gestures or filling your home with noise. Sometimes it's just one conversation, one moment where someone hears your voice and you hear theirs. That keeps the shadow of solitude at bay. In a small Arizona senior center, a group of widows found this truth together. They started meeting weekly to play cards, not because they loved the game, but because it gave them a reason to sit across from each other. Over coffee, they swapped stories, some about their spouses, others about nothing at all, like a neighbor's quirky dog or a recipe gone wrong. The clink of coffee mugs became a quiet rhythm, a signal they weren't alone. One woman shared how her husband used to shuffle cards with a grin, and though her eyes teared up, the table laughed with her, not at her. Those moments didn't bring her husband back, but they reminded her she could still smile, still belong. Slowly, those card games turned into friendships, a network of people who checked in when days got tough. You don't need to be ready to talk about your loss to start connecting. You don't need to host a gathering or have all the right words. A simple step can be enough. Picking up the phone to call a friend, sending a short text to a grandchild, or saying hello to someone at the grocery store. If you don't feel like sharing your pain, talk about something light, the weather, a funny memory, a show you watched. What matters is the act of reaching out, letting someone know you're still here. It's okay if it feels awkward at first. Grief can make you doubt whether others want to hear from you, but most people are waiting for a sign, unsure how to approach you without intruding. By making that first move, you open a door for them to step through. If family or close friends aren't nearby, look around your community. Many towns have senior centers, church groups, or grief support circles where people meet to talk, listen, or just sit together. You don't have to dive in deep. Showing up for a coffee hour or a book club can be enough to feel a spark of warmth. Even a neighbor you've nodded to for years might become a new friend if you share a quick chat over the fence. These connections don't replace your spouse, they can't, but they weave a net to catch you when the loneliness feels too big. Don't let the fear of being a burden stop you. You're not asking too much by wanting a conversation or a moment of company. Think of it as a gift you give and receive. Your voice lifts someone else, just as theirs lifts you. If you're unsure where to start, try one call a week, maybe to someone you haven't spoken to in a while, or drop by a local event, even if you only stay a few minutes. Each small step builds a bridge to others, keeping you tethered to life when grief pulls you inward. Connecting isn't about moving on or forgetting. It's about carrying your love forward in a world that still holds you. Those moments of shared laughter, quiet nods, or simple hellos remind you that your story isn't over. They give you the steadiness to face the practical tasks ahead, like sorting through papers or plans without feeling like you're doing it all alone. By reaching out now, you're not just surviving. You're planting seeds for days when warmth and connection feel a little easier to find. Imagine facing a bill you can't pay because you can't find one key paper tucked away somewhere. When your spouse passes, the world doesn't stop to let you catch your breath. Mail piles up, bank notices arrive, and questions about insurance or property start swirling before you're ready. That's why the third step is to organize. Sorting through essential papers with care to bring a bit of calm to the chaos. This isn't about jumping into dry tasks or burying your feelings under a stack of forms. It's about taking gentle control of the practical pieces so they don't overwhelm you later when you've got enough on your heart already. Life keeps moving, even when you wish it wouldn't. And those papers, wills, bank statements, insurance policies, hold the keys to your stability. Waiting too long or leaving them scattered can mean missing deadlines, losing benefits, or facing headaches you don't deserve. It's not cold to start this now. It's a way to protect what you and your spouse built together, making sure their efforts aren't lost in the shuffle. But it's also not something you have to rush through alone. This step is about pacing yourself, gathering what matters most, and letting it ease the load instead of adding to it. Picture a widow who didn't know where to start after her husband passed. Bills kept coming, but she couldn't find the account details to pay them. She'd put it off, hoping things would sort themselves out, until a letter warned her about a pension she'd nearly lost. One afternoon, she sat down with a cup of tea and an old shoebox, starting to collect whatever looked important. Bank cards, a marriage certificate, a note about their mortgage. Then she found a folder with his neat handwriting, listing their insurance details tucked behind some recipes. Seeing his careful notes didn't fix her grief, but it steadied her, a quiet reminder of how he'd always planned ahead for her. With that box, she called her son, and together they sorted what she'd found, turning confusion into clarity one paper at a time. You don't need to tackle everything in a day or become an expert overnight. Start small. Find a place to keep things, like a folder, a drawer, or even a bag you can carry. Look for the big pieces first. The will, if there is one, bank records, insurance policies, maybe a deed to your home or car. If your spouse handled these things, it might feel like searching for a needle in a haystack. But don't let that stop you. Check places they used, desk drawers, filing cabinets, or that kitchen nook where they paid bills. Write down what you find, account numbers, company names, a phone number scratched on an envelope, so you don't have to dig twice. If it feels too big, ask someone to sit with you, a child, a sibling, or a close friend who won't rush you. They don't need to take over. Just having them there can make the pile seem less daunting. Tell them what you're looking for, or let them read aloud while you listen. You might stumble on something that sparks a memory, like a receipt from a trip you took together. And it's okay to pause, to smile or sigh before moving on. This isn't about erasing them. It's about honoring the life you shared by keeping it safe. If you're not sure what's important, err on the side of keeping it. Copies of IDs, tax returns, military papers if they served. Anything tied to money or property is worth holding on to. Don't let the fear of mistakes hold you back. You're not expected to know it all right now, and nothing has to be perfect. Even a messy stack in one place is better than papers lost across the house. If you hit a wall, like a locked account you can't access, jot it down and move to the next thing. Later, you can call a bank or lawyer with what you've gathered, but for now, just collect. Some folks think this can wait until they feel better, but time isn't always on your side. Deadlines don't care about grief. Sorting now doesn't mean you're moving on. It means you're making room to breathe, to focus on yourself without extra worry piling up. This step sets you up for what's next. When your papers are in order, even just a little, you've got a clearer head to tend to your health or make decisions without scrambling. It's a quiet kind of strength, Not loud or showy, but steady, like knowing where your keys are in a storm. Organizing isn't about forgetting your spouse. It's about carrying their care forward, giving you a foothold to stand on as you navigate the days ahead. Did you know that 1 in 3 seniors skip meals after losing a spouse like Tom, who forgot to eat until he stumbled one day? When your partner passes, grief doesn't just settle in your heart. It seeps into your bones, draining the energy you once had for simple things like cooking dinner or stepping outside. That urge to let those routines slide is strong, especially when every task feels pointless without them there. But step 4 is about care. Tending to your body as you would a dear friend who's been through too much. This isn't about forcing yourself to be strong or pretending life's normal. It's about giving yourself the basics to keep going because your health matters now more than ever. Loss takes a toll you might not see at first. Your appetite fades, sleep breaks into restless patches, and even getting out of bed can feel like climbing a hill. For seniors, that weariness isn't just a phase. It can deepen into exhaustion, stir up old aches, or make your heart work harder than it should. Studies show grief can raise the risk of falls or worsen conditions like diabetes if you don't keep up with your body's needs. Caring for yourself doesn't mean you're moving past your spouse. It means you're honoring the life you shared by not letting yourself slip away, too. It's a quiet act of kindness, a way to steady yourself when everything else feels unsteady. Tom, a 75-year-old from Ohio, felt this firsthand after his wife passed. For weeks, he lived on coffee and crackers, shrugging off hunger because cooking for one seemed wrong without her at the table. He'd sit in his chair, staring at the spot where she'd read the paper, too tired to care about himself. Then one day, he stumbled reaching for the mail, his legs shaky, his head light. And it hit him that his body was crying for help. Rummaging through a drawer, he found her old recipe card for vegetable soup, written in her looping script. He made it just a small pot and sat down to eat, tasting the comfort she'd left behind. That first bowl didn't fix everything, but it woke him up. He started eating a little each day, some toast, an apple, and took short walks to the porch. Slowly, his strength crept back, enough to face the mornings without crumbling. You don't need to overhaul your life or chase perfection to start caring. Grief makes big changes feel impossible, and that's okay. Try something small instead. Eat twice a day, even if it's just a handful of nuts or a warm bowl of oatmeal. If cooking feels too hard, keep easy things around, crackers, fruit, or a can of soup you can heat up. Move a little when you can. Walk to your driveway, stretch your arms while watching TV, or step outside to feel the air. Sleep might not come easy, but lie down anyway. Maybe with a pillow they used or a blanket that smells like home. These aren't about impressing anyone. They're about keeping your body from giving up when your spirit's still finding its way. Don't brush off what your body's telling you. If you're forgetting pills, like blood pressure meds, or feeling weaker than usual, call your doctor. They can check what's off and maybe tweak something to help you through this fog. It's not weakness to ask. It's wisdom. A nod to the years you've lived and the ones you've still got ahead. If you're used to your spouse reminding you about these things, set a note by your coffee pot or ask a friend to nudge you. Grief can hide how much you're slipping, but a quick visit can catch it before it becomes a bigger problem. This isn't about guilt or proving you're fine. You might think that skipping lunch doesn't matter or that staying in bed all day is easier. Grief whispers those lies to keep you still. But tending to yourself fights back. It's not selfish to eat when you're not hungry or walk when you'd rather sit. It's survival, plain and simple. Start where you are. If you've got no appetite, sip some juice or nibble a biscuit. If you're too tired to move, stand up for a minute, then sit again. Every bite, every step is a thread pulling you forward, not away from your spouse, but toward a you that can carry them in memory without breaking. Caring for your body builds a bridge to the next steps. When you're not running on empty, you've got more to give. Whether it's sorting papers or deciding what comes next. It's not about erasing the pain or filling the quiet. It's about giving yourself the strength to hear that quiet without letting it swallow you. By tending to your needs now, you're not just getting by, you're laying ground to stand on, ready to pause and think clearly when the big choices come. Sarah sold her home too soon after her husband passed, and she has missed her garden's roses ever since. When grief washes over you, it's natural to want to shake things up, move to a new town, sell the house, give away their clothes, just to feel a flicker of control in a world that's spun off its axis. That urge can hit hard, whispering that change will lighten the load or sweep away the memories that sting. But step 5 is about pausing, slowing down before you make big decisions that can't be undone. This isn't about staying frozen or clinging to the past. It's about giving yourself time to see clearly when your heart and mind are still tangled in sorrow. Acting too fast in those early days can lead you down paths you'll wish you hadn't taken. Grief clouds your judgment, turning what feels like a solution into a regret that lingers long after the ink dries. It's not weakness to wait, it's wisdom, a way to protect yourself from piling more loss on top of what you're already carrying. Big choices, like selling property, moving closer to family, or signing away savings, need a steady head, not a heart racing to escape the pain. Rushing might feel good for a moment, like tearing off a bandage, but it often leaves wounds that take years to heal. Pausing lets you breathe, letting the fog lift so you can choose with purpose, not panic. Sarah, a 70-year-old from Florida, learned this the hard way after her husband's sudden passing. 2 weeks later, drowning in the quiet of their home, she put it up for sale, thinking a smaller place near her daughter would ease the ache. She packed up his workshop, gave away his tools, and moved out fast. Too fast. Months later, settled in a tidy condo, she found herself longing for the rose bushes they'd planted together, their scent missing from her new balcony. Worse, she kept picturing the toolbox's rusty hinge, wishing she'd saved just one wrench for her son, who loved tinkering like his dad. The move didn't erase her grief. It added a layer of homesickness for a life she hadn't been ready to leave. If she'd waited even a few months, she might have seen she could have stayed or at least kept more of him with her. You don't have to decide everything right now. Whether it's selling the car, closing accounts, or sorting their belongings, give yourself permission to wait. A month, 2 months, maybe more. Time doesn't erase your loss, but it sharpens your view of what you really want. If others push you, saying it's time to move on or clear things out, tell them you're not ready. They might mean well, but they're not the ones living this. For urgent matters, like a bill that can't wait, lean on someone you trust, a friend or family member who can look at it calmly when you can't. Let them read the fine print or make a call so you don't sign something you'll question later. Pausing isn't about avoiding action forever. It's about timing it right. Grief makes you feel like you're drowning in reminders, and shedding them might seem like the only way to surface. But those reminders, their favorite chair, the garage they loved, hold pieces of your story together. You might not need them forever, but you don't have to lose them today. Try setting a date, say 3 months from now, to revisit that choice. Write it down if it helps, a promise to yourself that you'll look again when the waves aren't so high. If you're tempted to act sooner, talk it through with someone who's not caught in the storm, a neighbor, a counselor, even a pastor, who can ask the questions you're too close to see. Don't let desperation drive you. Grief can trick you into thinking a quick fix, like moving across state lines, will mend what's broken, but it rarely does. Many seniors who rush big decisions end up missing the familiar, the creak of their old stairs, the view from their window, things they didn't know they'd grieve too. Waiting doesn't mean you're stuck. It means you're giving yourself room to heal before you reshape your life. If you're unsure what's big, think of anything permanent. Selling assets, relocating, or letting go of keepsakes. For now, handle what's small and let the rest sit until you're steadier. This step guards your future while you're still finding your footing. When you pause, you're not just delaying, you're building clarity for the choices ahead. like rediscovering who you are without leaping too soon. It's a quiet shield, keeping you from adding regret to your burden. By slowing down now, you're not running from your spouse's memory. You're making space to carry it wisely, ready to explore what's next when the time feels right. Who are you when we becomes I? And how do you find out? Losing your spouse doesn't just empty your days, it shifts the ground beneath your feet, leaving you wondering who you are without the rhythm you danced to together for so long. Step 6 is about discovering, exploring the new you, not today or tomorrow, but as a gentle journey that unfolds when you're ready, at your own pace. This isn't about replacing the love you shared or wiping away the past to start over. It's about finding small pieces of yourself, one by one, so you can live fully again, not just for you, but for the life you built with them. Grief rewrites your story, stripping away the us that shaped your mornings, your plans, and your quiet evenings. At first, that change feels like a hole. Your role as their partner, their confidant, their half, gone in a breath. But over time, that hole can become a place where a new version of you can grow. This step isn't a rush to fill it with noise or new titles. It's a slow opening to ask, what do I enjoy now? What brings me calm? What might these next years hold, even if they're different from what I dreamed? It's okay if those questions feel big or far away. You don't need answers yet, just the willingness to wonder, to let curiosity peek through the cracks when the weight starts to lift. John, an 80-year-old from Oregon, felt this shift years after his wife passed. For a long time, he drifted, missing their evening chats over tea, the way she'd tease him about his terrible puns. He kept her mug on the counter, unable to imagine life without their we. Then, one spring, he signed up for a painting class at the community center, not to distract himself, but because he'd loved sketching as a young man before life got busy. The first stroke of his brush on canvas brought a smile, a flicker of something his own. It didn't erase her, but it reminded him he was still here, still capable of joy. Around the same time, in a Texas church group, seniors gathered for potlucks, swapping tales over plates of fried chicken and pie. Their laughter filled the room as one woman shared how her husband burned every casserole he tried, and another recalled her spouse's knack for fixing anything. Those stories wove them together, sparking new bonds and new parts of themselves without letting go of what they'd lost. You don't have to leap into this step right away. It's not about forcing a new you while your heart's still tender. It's a path that waits for you. Start small when the moment feels right. Pick up a book from the library, something you've always wanted to read, and lose yourself in its pages for an hour. Sit at a cafe alone with a coffee, watching the world go by, letting your thoughts wander. Join a gardening club at the park, planting seeds that bloom into something you can tend. These aren't grand reinventions. They're whispers of who you might be now, threads of peace or pleasure you can follow at your own speed. If it feels strange, that's normal. Grief makes even small steps feel like a betrayal at first, but they're not. They're a way to honor your spouse by living the life they'd want for you. There's no rule book for discovering yourself again. Some days, you might try a new recipe, tasting a flavor they never knew, and smile at the thought of telling them. Others, you might sit with a friend you've made, sharing a laugh that feels lighter than you expected. Or maybe you'll take a walk somewhere you've never been, a trail by the lake, a street in town, just to see what's there. If tears come with the trying, let them. They're proof of how deep your love ran, not a sign you're doing it wrong. You might not love everything you explore, and that's fine. One thing might stick, a knitting circle, a bird-watching group, a quiet hobby at home, and that's enough to start. Don't let fear of change hold you back. Grief can convince you that staying the same keeps them close, but they're already with you, in your habits, your memories, and the way you see the world. Discovering isn't leaving them behind. It's carrying them into a life that's still yours to live. If you're unsure how to begin, ask yourself what you once loved, or what you've always been curious about. A craft, a story, a place. or lean on others. A neighbor might invite you to a card game. A grandchild might show you a new song. These moments don't fill the gap your spouse left. They add to it, building a you that's both old and new. This step closes the circle of surviving loss. It's the bridge from feeling, connecting, organizing, and caring to a place where you're not just holding on, you're growing bit by bit. By exploring when you're ready, you're not erasing your past. You're weaving it into a future where their love still shines, guiding you toward a self you're still meeting. Discovering over time isn't the end of missing them. It's the start of living with them in a new way, ready to face tomorrow with a quiet, hopeful strength. We started with a cold coffee pot, a home too quiet, and a heart unsure how to beat alone. Losing your spouse cuts deep, leaving echoes where laughter once lived, spaces where plans once grew. But through these 6 steps, feeling your sorrow, connecting with others, organizing your papers, caring for your body, pausing before big moves, and discovering a new you over time, you found anchors to hold you steady. These aren't rules to follow or boxes to check. They're tools, quiet gifts to help you weather this storm and find your way back to a life that's still yours. You don't have to rush through them, and you don't have to do them perfectly. What matters is that you keep going one small step at a time, knowing you're not alone on this road. Countless others have walked this path, some a little ahead, some right beside you. And they found that a broken heart doesn't mean a broken story. It's a chapter you didn't choose, a page you'd never write, but it's yours to shape with the strength you've carried all along. There's an old saying from my grandmother's kitchen that fits here. A cracked pot still holds water. It just needs a careful hand. These steps are the careful hand guiding you to hold what's left and pour out what's new, not to forget your spouse, but to live with their love in a way that lifts you up. At Life Wisdom, we're not just sharing advice. We're walking this journey with you every step, every stumble. You've felt the weight, reached out, sorted the chaos, tended to your needs, waited wisely, and now you're starting to explore who you can be. That's no small thing. It's quiet courage, a testament to the life you shared and the life you're still living. Tell us one memory these steps stirred for you. Maybe the sound of their voice over breakfast, a moment in the garden, or a hope you're holding for tomorrow. Share it in the comments. Your words light the way for others, just as theirs do for you. If this spoke to you, like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more, because your story matters to us. Thank you for being here and for trusting us with this piece of your path. Loss changes everything, but it doesn't end everything. With each step, you're writing a new line, not to replace what was, but to carry it forward with grace. We'll see you in the next video, ready to explore more ways to live wisely, with a heart that's been cracked open but still beats strong.